Hi folks, how you doing? This is Iqbal with SMCI Analysis and Assessment. SMCI finally got the upward momentum it deserved. Many times I mention in my Nvidia videos that I post on regular basis that SMCI is highly undervalued and it should bounce back soon. And now you see, since past few days, SMCI went up about 25% altogether. In this video, I will present my findings if SMCI can further go up or is there any chance for SMCI to fall big in next few days. Now, let's get started. As of this point, you see SMCI is at 47.91. On Friday, it went up about 13%. In last 5 days, altogether, 25.91% up. But interestingly, if you take a look last 6 months, SMCI is still down about 23%. So this tells me that SMCI has more potential to go further up in next few days. And if SMCI does the filing of 10K before February 25 deadline, then SMCI would go further up. So just before the February 25 deadline, you will see more volatility on SMCI stock. Now let's take a look some financial assessment for SMCI to see how much more SMCI can go further up before the next SMCI earnings. Let's take a look. So in this table, I put together the summary of the financial data for last 7 or 8 quarters. There are some blanks here, because in the last 2 quarters, SMCI is still struggling with accounting issues, right? And they do not have any blessings from their auditors when they report the earnings number. So even if these two earnings number that they posted in the last two earnings do not have the auditor's blessing, but it gives us some understanding how their business are growing. For example, in the Q2 earnings report, Q1 earnings report, and also last year Q4 earnings report, you see the trend is up in the revenue, net income, the profit margin, gross margin, EBITDA margin is going down a little bit, but overall is above 10% on average. And EPS also trending up in these 3 quarters. In the last 2 quarters that they reported, the revenue, not a big change from the Q2 2024, but still it's above 5.5. In the next quarter, the projection is 5.5. The last 4 quarters, let's take a look. Revenue has not changed much. EPS actuals also the last 3 quarters kind of about the same, around 0.60. And the next quarter projection is 0.53. So it's trending down the next quarter, both revenue and the EPS. But the good thing is they mentioned in their earnings call that in 2026 they are expecting a phenomenal growth to their business. And also, due to the increased competition, they expect more business to come in the near future. So, those two are positive signs, even if the next quarter revenue and the EPS is projected to go down. And now you see the EPS actual versus projection summary in this table for last 9 or 10 quarters. So you see that in last 7 or 8 quarters, the earnings are going up very quickly. 0.16 actual through 0.351, that is about 200% increase. And then here you see 0.55, about 70% increase from there. And last 4 quarters, you see kind of in line about 0.60 to 0.63, not a major change. And next 4 quarters on average is about 0.61 to 0.62. We don't have the numbers published for Q3 and Q4 2025 projections, but I just extrapolated 0.64 in these 2 quarters as well, assuming that they can at least meet 0.64 earnings for Q3 2025 and Q4 2025. And in this table that I show on your screen, let's focus on this table, okay? Line 35 through line 38. Very important finding. You see, the EPS actuals in Q1 2024 was 0.55. You see, the closing price in that quarter on the earnings reporting day was 51.297. Okay, the next quarter, you see, the earnings went up to 0.66 and the closing price on the earnings reporting day was 73.83. And similar behavior, you see, 0.62 earnings actual and 61.69 the closing price on the earnings reporting day. So on these 3 quarters that happened before the financial irregularities news happened, you see a strong relation between the EPS actuals versus the closing price in these 3 quarters. That the closing price on average is 100 times higher than the EPS actuals at least. You see that? 0.55 times 100, that gives 51.2 almost. 0.66 times 100, that gives 66 something, but closing price is higher than that. And you see in this quarter, 0.62 times 100, close to 62, that is 61.69. So if that relation is true, then the EPS actual that reported in the last quarter that happened probably last week was 0.59. So the fair price for SMCI with respect to the previous EPS actual is about 59. SMCI is trading around 47.9 at this point. So this tells me at this point 47.91 SMCI is still underpriced and it has more potential to go further up. But this assumption is based on if SMCI reports the 10K filing before the February 25 deadline. But if they fail to report by the deadline, then this analysis is not valid. Then we have to come up with another analysis after that happens. And also using the forward key assessment, I came up with the min max range for SMCI, and that should be valid before the next earning. That is 3 months from now. And based on that, my average price for SMCI is 47.18, and SMCI has the potential to touch 74.8 in next 3 months, given that they report 10K filing before the February 25 deadline. And how I came up with this calculation, you can look at all these formulas. And basically in this formula, I'm using 3 factors. That is EPS forward, that is E4, and then P31. That is the mean average or the maximum forward PE. You see here. And the third factor is the earning surprise in this formula. And that is P40. In case of the minimum value, and that is this one. Okay, similarly for the average, I'm using the average forward P and also the average earning surprise for last 10 or 11 quarters. And for the maximum, I'm using the maximum forward P and also the maximum value of the earnings surprise for last 12 quarters. So I came up with these values. I uploaded this Excel sheet onto my Patreon account, so you can take a look at the formula in detail if you want. And if I talk about me, I'm still holding SMCI stock, and I plan to buy more SMCI stock if next week SMCI goes down to around 43 or 44 one more time. I keep holding the SMCI for next few days, depending on if they report 10K by the deadline. I am positive that they should be able to report the 10K filing by February 25. So that was my assessment regarding SMCI. I hope you liked the video. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you more in the next video. Take care.